another iteration of the Faceit Frenzy. It has been a busy week thus far for Faceit League. Lots of big games, lots of upsets across the board, and hey, we're going to break it down here over the next half an hour. But of course, can't do that without the lovely people on the desk with me. And here with me every single night, basically, Dexatron. Dex, how you feeling about the crazy week you've had thus far?
I mean, hey, the first true week of Face here for Masters Tier, second week for everyone else. I mean, we're seeing a lot of teams get off to the starts we kind of expected. Some other teams get off to the starts that we weren't necessarily expecting. But again, it's week one, essentially. Still very early on in the season. So we expect to see some wild and chaotic things happen.
Yeah, very much so. And joining us for the very first time here on the Frenzy, it is Wed. Good old support for 9Z, but also currently NA Masters playing for the Fallen. Wed, how are things going for you?
Well, things are going awesome, especially right now that I'm here with y'all. Like, I'm just really excited to watch these games and like just have fun with y'all. I'm expecting a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a very chaotic day. And of course, joining us for who's also been here consistently every time, PCNurick, aka Parker. How are you feeling about this week so far? Because I've seen you've already had some crazy games on your hand the last couple of days.
Man, I'm going through it right now. This is 10th day in a row of doing these. I think I'm gonna pull my hair out at some point, but it's been fun. At least, my camera's dying. Also, webcam. I got the webcam now. I've been looking for this for months, so happy to have it because hiding behind a Discord profile picture is not like usually my thing. But I've been having fun. The games have been awesome, and I'm sure this week is going to be very, very good as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. It's something that we didn't really get the chance to talk about last week because we were very heavily focused on expert everything going on there. Speaking of pulling your hair out, Parker, I'll start with you on this one. There was a lot of roster changes. Roster mania was in full effect. There are teams that basically went to whole different orgs. Everybody swapped around. It's been maybe I don't know if I want to call it the messiest offseason we've had, but I think it's one of the craziest that we've seen so far. Did it really kind of go to your expectations, or was there like a particular move or roster that went somewhere that you didn't expect?
I think we talked about this a little bit on the last one, but keeping up with roster mania was absolutely ridiculous. Like, first, I could not have predicted this. Like, if I had a million opportunities, I think I'd miss every single time. But even being the person getting fed information from a bunch of different teams, I had probably at least 12 of the teams a direct contact with them. So you'd expect the sheets I was putting out to be a little bit more accurate. As I was getting the info, but they really were not. If you look back at the first one I posted, it was so much was changing day to day to day. It was straight chaos. I don't know what the players were thinking, and I kind of learned that in the roster mania, you basically just have to talk to every single player to figure out where their head's at, because other people think they know where people are at and they don't, and then rosters destruct overnight. Honestly, within hours they'll blow up. But it was a wild roster mania to keep track of, and honestly, I think we got a lot of really, really strong competition and teams that came out of it. So probably the best for the tier as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Dex, you and I were sitting there trying to keep up religiously. It felt like with all the orgs coming in, announcing the rosters kind of last second. I mean, we had Avidity come back, Dark Mode back as well, and I think maybe the big name everyone was hoping to have back, Nightmare, is back around as well. So, I mean, for you in this one, were you fully expecting Nightmare to come back? Because to be fair, it was a rumor for the longest time of, hey, Nightmare's going to come back. They're going to get a roster. We didn't find out fully until basically the last second that they were here.
I mean, it was rumored, and I mean, Parker kind of talked to us a lot throughout the offseason and really let us know that Nightmare was heavily looking to get back into Faceit this season here, and I think they picked up a really good roster. But I mean, you look at all the orgs that are back in. I mean, the Fallen, yeah, they lose their team from last season, still in the tier this season. Wed's on that team right now, but that's Fallen Angels, who were actually one of the teams that moved up from the expert tier right now. They became the flagship team, Vivacity. That team went to Amplify for the most part. There, I believe one player went somewhere else, but then they picked up last season's JBFC, who kind of struggled for a little bit, but towards the end of the season actually picked up a little bit there, keeping themselves in that master tier. And it's really fun just to look at all the orgs that are back in here. I mean, you have Laika back in here, I think, for the first time in a little bit now, picking up essentially what is the core of last season's Kitsugi team, which did win season 8's Faceit Masters tier here. But still, you look at the players that are on that one now. Yeah, there's still some players from Kitsugi, but a lot of changes happen with there. But still nice to see a lot of these recognizable names back.
Yeah, it is really nice to see a lot of recognizable names. And I mean, we have a recognizable name here in front of us within WED because you're competing in NA Masters this season. And we've seen it for the longest time, whether it's been under Factor X, whether it's been under Dilpados, Pisco Sour, and now 9Z. This is your first time playing in North American Masters, but you're not exactly, new when it comes to facing some of the best in North America. So just kind of as we're talking about the chaos of all these different teams, what's the transition been for you? Because you're basically here this season because 9C, they taking a break, and I imagine you want to stay active and compete during those times.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it was like our roster didn't want to compete mainly because of the fact that like we're not gonna be like allowed to finish the season because we're gonna be in EWC while the season is like the playoffs are gonna be on. So we just said like, I mean, there's no reason why not to play the SA season. So because of that, I asked some teams and asked some teams to give me tryouts, and yeah, that's how I'm in A right now, pretty much.
Yeah, we're definitely really excited to have you here and obviously watch you on the big stage coming up here for EWC. And hey, we're hoping to see what those results are going to be. But one thing I kind of want to check on really quick is the results we've had thus far throughout the first week, and there have been results all over the board. There's already been some reschedulings, but that is par for the course. And face it, especially here in North America, it happens quite a bit. I'm just gonna run, over a few that we've seen, maybe some that are expected, maybe really unexpected. And I'll kind of just get y'all's thoughts on it. I'm gonna go back and start over to Dex on this one right here. I think maybe the big one I want to talk about is Iliad Artemis beating Way to Thanos 3-0. Again, Artemis feels like that team that is always in the competition, but they're never taken as a serious contender. They come in here against a really game Way to Thanos, and they sweep them in their first match out.
I mean, we talked about a little bit yesterday as we covered Iliad Artemis as they took on Fallen there. Artemis, the squad has been around, or at least the Korviid has been around throughout the majority of the time since me and you started covering. I think you even brought up a little bit that Iliad Artemis has been one of the only teams to kind of stay in Masters tier since the beginning for the most part here. And I mean, we've seen them get off to good starts in the past and have them crumble to the point where I think they started off 7-0 one season and missed out on playoffs that same season there. But still, you're looking for them to get these good starts. I think they had a very fortunate and favorable kind of schedule to get started here. You play Way to Thanos and the Fallen coming up here, two teams that came up from the expert tier. And if you're a team that's been in this master tier for a little bit here, and maybe one like Artemis that has kind of been on and off, hot and cold, I think you got the best start you could have got here, because I believe their next game is against a very, very tough opponent, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll double check for you really quick. But for Way to Thanos, their next game is actually happening here a little later tonight, and we're going to talk about it here pretty soon. They're taking on Amplify, the new Amplify, I should say, which is the former Vivacity squad. So that's going to be really exciting to witness there. But hey, we're sitting here. We're talking about what a lot of these great teams can do. And I mean, Parker, there were some juggernauts that went against each other right out the rip. Nightmare took on Extinction, and Nightmare, they get that one done quick in 3-0 fashion. Was this to your expectations? Because you look at both these rosters, they have all had immense success the last few seasons, and face it.
I'm not actually super surprised by the Nightmare 3-0. Honestly, I kind of would have leaned that way if I was spreading the game. That roster is just, frankly, like very, very strong. I love Virtual on Flex support. He's one of the best last season. He's going to be one of the best again this season. Lab slash Weeby. I forget how to say it. Coming down. YB. I forget how to say it. I got told how to, and I've literally forgotten. But I mean, coming down to Masters, I mean, you already have the best main support in the tier on that team. The PK was obviously a monster last season. You had the DPS players in, two absolute studs, and you have a roster I think should win at Masters, and if they don't, it is probably a failure of the season. I know PK really wants to get back into that promo relegation as well, but slightly worrying for Extinction that it was kind of as dominant as it was, in my opinion, because that's a team I have a lot of love for. I love Red X a lot. I mean, I think he's one of my favorite players, just personality-wise and playstyle-wise. So to see him take a loss like that is really, really tough, but it is a long season. We have quite a few more weeks left. We're in the middle of week 2 out of 8, so a lot can change. These rosters are just newly formed as well, so we'll see if they can make some adjustments or not, but that's kind of my takeaway from it. I think Nightmare is going to be the #1 team until they lose for quite a while.
Yeah, I say that's pretty reasonable overall, but kind of looking at some of these other games, I mean, this is not meant to be salt in the wound anyways, but y'all had a pretty banger game that we got to witness the other night. Actually, I should more say
Last night.
last night, yeah, because Hunter's not good with dates apparently. But we watched y'all take on Ilya Artemis. Unfortunately, doesn't go your way with a 3-1. But we watched a lot of that game, very back and forth. I mean, what was your experience with that game? Did you kind of have like confidence going into this game, or are you still kind of like finding your way and vibing with the team?
I think right now I'm like personally just vibing with them, especially because like I don't want to like bench anyone because like they're like a really good core of like players and like they're like really good and really talented, and I feel like they all deserve to play time, and I'm just like here to like just vibe with them, I'll say. And I think yesterday game was like really unfortunate. I think if we didn't make the mistakes that we made, we definitely would have won, but it is what it is. Overwatch, you know. There's always mistakes.
Yeah, it feels like any given day, anyone can beat anybody. That's kind of the wild thing that we see all the time between a lot of these teams. It happened a lot last year. Iliad Artemis was maybe one of the biggest examples. JBFC also, that team won games that maybe they shouldn't have. They also lost games they probably shouldn't have. But with that being the case, we're talking about that anything can happen on any given day. And let's start out strong with all these games coming up here. We're going to do some predictions, y'all. And there are a lot of really fun games here going into tonight. And I'll start in this one right here. Mouse 5, or is it Mouse 5 or Mouse 6? Hunter should know this ahead of time. We're going to call it Mouse 5 for good measure. They're taking on the new Vivacity. We're going to go ahead and go right to left on this one. So, Parker, give me your thoughts on this game. How you feeling about the Expert Squad going against the new Vivacity Squad?
I definitely have a big soft spot for the Expert Squad. They are one of my favorite teams. But I will say they did not have a lot of great PR in the offseason. Scrim results, I don't think, were super in their favor. But I was honestly kind of impressed with how they've debuted so far. I believe they did take a map in their first game against an Amplify team that I have a lot of respect for. And I don't think that's something to scoff at here. And then you have the opposite side of the coin here. You have Vivacity, obviously the JBFC roster from last season. I don't know if they've taken a map so far this season. They played 2 games against 2 really strong teams, but that's not exactly a green light for me in a series that I think is going to be a little closer than people expect, to be honest with you. JBFC, obviously, were I think one placement away from being in promo relegation themselves last season. So, I mean, Mouse 5 definitely have a way into this one. You have to kind of account for as well the loss of Bunkachongo. Losing your main support in the offseason is kind of brutal as well. Big significant factor here, but I really think Mouse 5 are gonna hit their stride here. I think they know what they want to play. I think the Cat Bastion's really strong for them, and it's not super hard meta anymore, but it's something you can play, and I think that's something that they can look to try and play and grab some maps here. So I actually am going to rock with Mouse 5 on this one. I think they're going to get an upset win here, and I actually have them in 16th place on my power rankings right now, just because I think they do have to kind of prove themselves, but that doesn't mean I don't think they can win, right? You know, I think they'll get it done, but it's going to be a long series. I think it's going 5, but I'll take Mouse 5 for 2.
So what you're saying is you set yourself up, because if they lose, it's like, oh, the power rankings, they're right. If they win, you're going to come back here, clip onto Twitter.
Hey, I was 3 for 3 in the Preds in the last one. Just throwing it out there. I had that. So we're trying to keep it going.
I think I went over 3.
For today. Over 3? Now you're going to be 0 for 4 going to today. Congratulations. We'll see how good Wed's record's going to be, though. How do you feel about this one, Wed? Mouse 5, Expert team coming up, Vivacity. It's a whole new squad, but both these teams, they got something to prove today.
I think I like Mouse 5 a lot. I definitely think they're like a game day type of team. They're like really good. But I have to give it to Vivacity. I think it's going to be like a 3-0 for Vivacity. I think the core of Gaimoire and Gingerful is like really strong. And they know how to like really deliver. And I really think it's going to be like a quick and easy 3-0 for them, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of faith in that squad as well. I saw Ginger playing a lot of those and scrims for Team Iceland look extremely strong over there. Dex, I'm gonna get your opinion on this one right here, because we're going one way, we're going the other. You're the tiebreaker, so are you going with the Expert squad, or you think this new Vivacity is gonna hold this one?
You have a pick too. But I'll say this:
Whatever.
like for both these two teams, they're both in the. This is the setting for them right now, where both of them are trying to right the ship here after after getting up to a start they don't necessarily want. Mouse 5, they're looking at maybe this being their first victory here in Master Tier. While if you're Vivacity, you're trying to at least get your first victory this season, because we saw what JBFC was able to do once they got a little bit of momentum towards the end of last season. And I think that's what they need to do this time now under Vivacity. But I do think it will be Vivacity that does take this series here. Maybe not 3-0, but I'm not gonna go all the distance there like Parker did. I'm gonna say 3-1 Vivacity here.
Okay. Hey, it'd be impressive to see. Me, I also have a little bit off spot for squads coming up. Heck, the old Vivacity squad from last season was one of the teams that moved up, went on to playoffs when a lot of people, we didn't fully expect that to happen. So I'm willing to have a little faith in Mouse 5 in this one. I think they take this one, and I'll be that guy. I've been that guy on the different desk before. I'll be that guy here as well. I think it has a very real chance. It feels like this is a team where even if they go behind, they can fight back. That's before. I hope I'm not wrong this time. I need some credibility on this desk.
Do you?
Yeah, you really need
I
that.
mean, someone needs to. Because it's either you or me. I don't like.
No, it's
being
Parker.
wrong too-
Parker's the one
Whoa.
here with credibility.
You're right, yeah.
Yo.
Everyone talks
Parker?
to Parker, dude. No one talks to me.
Dude, you're doing the series there. You got that going on. You guys should check out Texas series too, though. Oh, point the other way. Cameras are reversed, but it's a cool series. Just throwing it out there.
We'll advertise that series for sure pretty soon here. But we got to advertise more of these amazing games going on here tonight. Another one I'm really excited. Talked about that Amplify squad earlier. They're taking on Way to Thanos to get things started. This is a team that, hey, to be fair, give them credit. They go and beat that Elemental Normal team right out the rip. So let's start with Dex on this one, right? Game with Thanos. They're taking on Amplify. How you feeling?
Here's the thing. I really like this Amplifier roster. It's the majority of the Vivacity squad from last season. Plus, I think LCS should be on the team. I don't think they're necessarily on the roster just yet here. But still, it's a very good roster. Way to Thanos. I think they're still, I think, trying to find their stride here. Yeah, they do have that one win here already, but I think they're going against a much tougher opponent here tonight in Amplify, who right now one of the only teams that has actually played their first two games on schedule. They're playing their third one here tonight, looking to be one of the only teams to probably be 3-0 at the end of the night. So I'm going to Amplify.
Okay, we'll see if we can keep the Amplify train going. Wed, again, are you going to go the side of your duo in support, or are you going to go and betray him and side?
Oh my god. I don't know, because I think like Way Too Thanos is like a really, really strong team. I think Hero, oh my god, I think Hero is like one of the greatest tanks in NA. I'm not gonna lie. But teamwork, I think I have to give it to Amplify, but I think it's gonna go to like distance. I'm gonna give it like 3-2 to Amplify.
Okay, a map 5 believer. Love to see it. Love to see it. Parker, I wonder if you're as ambitious as this. Do you think this could be a map 5 banger? Do you think Way to Thanos has a good shot in this, or are you gonna go Team Amplify on this?
This is actually a really interesting series to break down, in my opinion. Way Too Thanos, I think if you were to get one highlight, one headline from the first few games that have been played in Masters so far, I actually made a tweet on it. It's Way Too Thanos 3-1 Element Normal. 3-1 Element Normal 3-1 Dark Mode, and then Iliad Artemis 3-0 Way Too Thanos. That is just chaos in itself right there. Like, that is literally an anything can happen kind of triangle of doom right there. So Way Too Thanos, I think they have a lot of upside. They also have a lot of downside too, right? It really just depends how they kind of come out and how they're playing. And obviously we kind of have to see how Artemis kind of cooks out as well. Going through the season to kind of look at those results at full face value. But this Amplify team hasn't exactly been super great either. They have 2 wins, but they also dropped 2 maps in both of those games, and they were both expected wins in my opinion as well. So that doesn't give me the most confidence here. The fact they've dropped maps makes me believe that Way Too Thanos can really like send this series to a 5th map, just because if Amplify are dropping maps to other teams, I don't see why Way Too Thanos can't find one here. I don't really know if Amplify are like, messing around a little bit or what, but I haven't actually watched the games. I watched a little bit, but I didn't watch the full ones. So I actually do think it's another map 5. But I'm gonna take way too Thanos in this one. I think they're gonna get another win, and I think they really, really want one as well. Obviously, Wed just talked about Hero playing super well right now. Axe wants to play the Malga. Hero's going to prefer the Sig all day long. So I like way too Thanos in 5 here.
Okay. Hey, love to see it. Give some love to the expert. Me, I am going to stick with the Amplify. I'm going to make this a 3-1. I think this has every reason to be close, but I do have faith this Amplify squad is going to be able to pull it out, because while they have made it look close before, they are still winning these games and pulling it out. So for me, no reason to think that's going to change going into this one. But hey, again, situation where I'm happy to be wrong. But let's move on to our next game. We got 2 other teams we got to talk about. We have Iliad Artemis, who has been on a tear to get the season started. In dark mode, hey, as good of a roster they are, they struggled and lost to Elemental Normal to start the season. So again, we'll go back to the other side right here, back to Parker. Do you think this is a bounce back for dark mode, or do you think Iliad Artemis is going to stay as one of the only undefeated teams right now?
Yeah, I was talking to Vex a little bit about this game yesterday, and we both think it's a really, really strong game. I was thinking about doing it myself, but I ended up going a different direction. But first of all, to preface, this is a great game. Artemis, they're playing really, really well right now. A nice 3-0 over Way 2 Thanos that I just talked about. They have another win as well over the Fallen yesterday, 3-1. And I know that Fallen roster is getting a lot of hype from different areas that I heard. So I think that's a really, really strong win as well. I think they're going to struggle against the likes of Laika, the likes of Oblivion, the likes of Nightmare. But this is a very, very winnable game for them. Dark mode, they've already bled a little bit here. And key for those who know about the slot drama and everything is that they have to play Azrith and Unread in this series, and they cannot play Dove yet. So I believe, I think, right? I think that's how the slot rules work. So and I was listening to some of that post game 2 days ago as well. So if that is true, I do believe that Artemis have a really, really, really good shot in this series. I actually kind of like them for it here. I think they're going to play Azure a lot of maps on the Sigma. He's looking really, really strong. I think they're flexing into the Sigma Zuki pretty well. And then when bans are there, they have the subs to kind of keep it going and find strong map wins. So I'm going to go with Artemis 3-1. I think Dark Mode are just going to struggle again, and I think Artemis are pretty comparable to Nightmare as well. Or not Nightmare, Element Normal, sorry.
I'm about to say, wow, okay, that's big praise for Iliad Artemis. Love to see it. But Wed, we go to you on this one again. You got to see this Iliad Artemis live in color. You think they're going to win this game, stay undefeated, or are you a dark mode believer going to this one?
I think I'm an Iliad Artemis believer. To be completely, I think if Iliad Artemis don't choke, they're like a really scary team. Because like even last season, like they were like winning like the hardest games, and like they just go and play like the easy games, and somehow they lose. So I think if they don't choke, they're like a top 5 team in Masters right now. Still, like they could be like a top 5 team. So I'm gonna go 3-1 to Iliad Artemis.
Okay, you got some love going towards Artemis. Dex, you gonna keep the love going for Artemis, or are you gonna be the guy to go dark mode this time?
I mean, you heard what Parker said. You look at this roster here for dark mode. It's a really talented roster all the way across the board. Triplet, Crawley, Azruf. You have Unread on there, but there's some stuff going on right now that you have to play a couple players here. You can't play some. It's really interesting that I just heard about that a little bit earlier today. Parker kind of talking about again, brought that back up. And while I really want to say dark mode here, I think I have to lean Artemis as well. I think again it goes back to this, that Artemis team has been a core team now for as long as me and you have been covering Faceit here, Hunter. And at some point, you always expect that team that's stuck together through thick and thin to really be able to get off or be able to find ways to win these tough games. And dark mode's I think their first real challenge here tonight. If they're able to beat dark mode, I mean, like Wed said, this could be a top 5 team here this season. So I'll go 3-1 Artemis.
Okay, 3-1 Artemis. I think at least for our knowledge, for the first time on the Frenzy, I think we're gonna have the full sweep here, because honestly, I can't go against Artemis. Hippy, get ready to talk to us about this in about 90 minutes. But I believe the same way. I'm gonna go 3-1-2 on top of that. Again,
Jesus.
There's no reason to think they aren't gonna keep accomplishing what they have been doing. I'm confident with this squad. I think, hey, maybe this is Artemis' season. Maybe they're finally gonna pull it out. Who knows? I'm excited to see what happens. But we got to focus on one final game, and it's our featured game here tonight. And we're going to roll through this thing a little quickly because Hunter has great time management skills, as you all know. It is our featured game. It is Laika taking on Gaimoire, and this Laika squad taking over that slot for Kintsugi and Gaimoire. This is that former Amplify squad. So we head back over onto the left side. Dex, this is a big matchup. This is the one I'm the most excited for tonight personally, and I guess maybe that's why I ended up picking it. But how do you feel about this game right here?
I mean, again, you look at this Laika esports team: Hittori, Winter, Lau, Lampet, Juno. I mean, it's just an incredible roster here, and one of the ones that I think could really go up against Nightmare and give them a run for their money here. But I mean, if you listen to One More Round and talking with J-Man, they really want this season to be the season that they get out of that bottom half of playoffs and get into that top 5, top 4 area when it comes to the end of it. And these are those games right now, early on in the season, that you need to win if you are Gaimoire, to be able to really kind of get the point across that they are a team that has to be taken seriously, a little bit more seriously than I think a lot of other teams might take them here. So for that reason, I'm going to grow Gaimoire here. I think that they need to find something. They need to find a statement win early. This is their best chance.
I'd be excited to see this either way. I mean, Wed, you feeling the same way here? Because, again, you look at this Laika squad, there are some players on here that have now won back-to-back seasons of NA Masters. Do you think Gaimoire has what it takes to win this match?
I think this is gonna be the season that Gaimoire is just gonna get to the NA finals and like actually challenge Nightmare.
Ooh.
I'm like a really big believer of like C4, E1, Hodge, Gab. Like they're like really, really good fucking players. Like they have the talent. They're like really, really, really good in what they do. And I honestly think they're gonna get to finals this season. Like I really think so. So I'm going 3-1 in favor of Gaimoire.
3-1 Gaimoire. Parker, are we going to keep the Gaimoire love going, or do you think you're going to go to Laika on this one? How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, I've heard a lot of really, really great things about Gaimoire, obviously. The first thing you think about is, are they just going to be Amplify again, right? They're the same core of players. Z4 obviously got added. Big fan of that addition. I'm a massive Z4 fan. So I do really, really like that add. And I've heard a lot of things from a lot of other players about Gaimoire performing well in scrims, but it is hard to fade this like a team, I think, right now for me. Hittori is just really good. They added Winter. They have Cinnabar. They have Lau. Lau, I think, was a really big standout last season on the Fallen, a team that struggled in playoffs, but I think a really, really nice bright spot there. And I just think fading the Masters winners this early after a really dominant victory they had already this season is going to be hard for me. And I think they're honestly going to sweep this one. In my top 3, it's like a tier break is Laika, Exo, Nightmare. I think those 3, like, I really need to be proven that they aren't as strong as they are. But until that happens, I have to rep them really, really hard here. So I'm going to go a Laika 3-0. I think they're going to sweep this one. Gaimoire, I think, are still a very strong team. I think Laika are just a very, very strong team.
Yeah, I mean, there's some confidence there. But we'll see, because again, there's a lot of teams that performed really well, and like you said, playoffs came along, didn't quite show up. There's definitely some teams that also kind of barely got in. I think had some really good performances as a result. Me, to close this thing out, I love this squad so much. I am, however, going to lead the way of Laika, but I will then make this one a map 5. I think this has the potential to push forward. There is so much upswing potential from this Gaimoire squad. They have shown over the course of the last near year I've gotten to watch them back on Amplify. So I'm excited to see what they can do, and we're excited to feature that game here pretty shortly. But of course, love to these amazing people here on the desk, PCNurick or Parker. I'm just gonna say Parker from here on out. But you have your own game going on in Expert. You got Fallen Rising taking on Celestial Aurora. I know you were excited about that. You were like, hey, I have like 6 games I need to pick from.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, there's too many good games going on today. But hey, if you want to watch Wed in action, Wed, Fallen is playing against Explovione tomorrow, and I know us and I imagine a lot of others are going to be covering that, so you can go to pretty much any co-streamer, including us, if you want to watch Wed in action tomorrow. And Dex and I here, we're getting ready and steady for this game against Laika and Gaimoire. It's going to be a great time, but we're gonna go and get prepared for that game. I want to thank everyone for coming out for this, and of course, Wed, Parker, for joining us here on the desk. It is a pleasure as always. I'm sure we'll be talking here very soon about the chaos that goes on tonight. But we're headed over to a break. When we come back, it will be the matchup between Gaimoire and Laika. Everybody, welcome back from the break. It was an amazing Faceit Frenzy once more. Broke down all of the action and hey, gave plenty of predictions going into tonight's games. But Dex, we're here covering Gaimoire taking on Laika. Teams that have been off to really good starts thus far. And to be fair, looking at these rosters, these are two teams that have had a lot of success in the past. Gaimoire, formerly that Amplify squad from last season, that I think went on a really good tear throughout the regular season and had some good moments in the playoffs as well. But this Laika squad, this is a lot of that core that just won last season on Kintsugi. So there's some really stacked talent between both of these rosters.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Laika this season already. It's not the entirety of that squad. Like we said, it is some members of that squad from Kintsugi, but the members they lost, they immediately replaced them with, I would say, players of equal talent or maybe even some of better talent here. I mean, just looking at the starting five they have right here on Faceit: Hitori, Winter, Lau, Lampet, and Cinnabar. Hunter, I think a roster that you could put up against any team and feel pretty confident about them going in and taking maps off or even more than that, just winning the series outright here. Gaimoire, on the other hand, I mean, we talked about the Amplified team last year, did really good, ended up being that 8th seed in the playoffs, but got a huge upset victory over the number 1 seed in the first round. I mean, this is a team that can definitely punch up above their weight at times. And like I said during the Frenzy, speaking with J-Man a little bit earlier this week, they talked about how their expectation for the season is to be one of those top 4 teams. They're tired of being around that mid, 4 to 6 range, and like they were last season, that 8th seed. Granted, they were 8th seed by tiebreakers. I think they could have honestly been the 6th seed, but they are looking to really be one of those teams that gets talked about as teams that are favored to not only make it far in the playoffs, but make it far or make it long enough to be the champions of Faceit this season.
Yeah, and it's a real possibility. I think for either of these teams, it's a genuine possibility. But this is a scenario where Gaimoire has to play with a lot of confidence because they've shown that they can beat some of the best teams in North American Masters. But this is a very competitive season for very good reasons. For this year, this is the last opportunity to get into OWCS. Your next opportunity is probably going to come around maybe like the very beginning of next year, honestly. That's a scenario that we're in, so it's the pressure of these teams that want to be able to get through and move on to OWCS for a chance to, go play against the very best in the world. But we're getting this thing started here pretty soon, about a minute left before this opens up, and we'll be able to talk about all the picks and everything that we're doing. But we had our predictions about this game. It was a little split back and forth between everybody. And I mean, we talk about how confident we feel about both these squads, everything that they've accomplished, and everything they've been able to do, especially, like I said, J-Men, who was one of our favorite players for quite a long while, and everyone should go listen to that amazing chat with one more round. It was phenomenal to watch. But going into this game, do you think this is maybe like a tone setter? Maybe more so a tone setter for Gaimoire, who, yeah, they won their first game. That's good. But this is a very big test for them here today.
Oh, like I said during Frenzy, this is a statement kind of victory right here that they need early on in the season. It really sets them up for what they want to be, that team that's in the top 4, going up and being able to take maps off and take series off of teams that a lot of people look at as being the best of the best here in this tier. And I mean, hell, you heard Parker talk about it. Like the teams that are towards the top, they were able to build their rosters here incredibly strong. You look at Nightmare, looked at it as the favorite here, a really strong roster. Laika, another really strong roster here. I mean, you need to be able to have that statement win to send a message here early on, like I said during Frenzy, if you are Gaimoire.
Yeah, plenty of messages to be sent here. We'll see how they're able to do, because first map already been selected. We're heading over to Antarctic Peninsula, which is back in the pool for the first time in a long time. It's not the first time we're seeing it, but we'll see how much more we end up seeing it throughout the whole season. The first ban is also through. This on the side of Gaimoire. They're going to get rid of that Sojourn. Honestly, just a solid pick. Sojourn, always strong. I know there's talk of hey, Xion's really strong, Emre's still really good, but Sojourn is a constant threat that players are used to popping off on.
especially on a map like Antarctic Peninsula, especially when you look at some of the maps here where the slide and jump, being able to get you from low ground to high grounds are very important on this map in particular. That Sojourn finds a lot of value. And Hunter, like you said, I mean, yeah, Emre still there. Xion, I feel like we're still having that debate of are they flex DPS? Are they hit scan DPS? I feel like some teams we've seen lean more towards hit scan. Some teams we've seen lean more towards flex with it. I mean, we can go back and look at the series last night where I believe we saw one team playing Xion as that flex DPS and one team playing it a little bit more as a hit scan, and varied success for either one. But I would kind of lean a little bit more towards flex here right now. But you get rid of the Soj here, you get rid of a constant pressure that constant pressure that the Soj provides, whether it's the disrupting shot, whether it's the railgun, or whether it's just the left click. I mean, it's so much value that you can get from the Soj.
Yeah, it's an incredible amount of value. We'll see what that second ban is here pretty soon, as we'll see what these teams want to do in terms of their lineups. At least in the past, normally this squad with like you and J-Man, Gap, usually pretty consistent with their usual 5. But hey, we could see some swaps around with Laika. I mean, you do have Juno there sitting us up right now, but Juno's had a ton of success in the past. I mean, I think was one of the seasons, I think was one of my featured players of the week, has done a phenomenal job in the past. I think will continue to do a phenomenal job here as well. We talked about those acquisitions over the offseason as well that Parker brought up, especially with Lau, who did amazing things on the Fallen last season. So we'll see how much they're willing to change things around. But if I was a betting man, thinking these rosters might stay as they are going into Peninsula.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Juno might come in. That might be really the only one we see. But I mean, you talk about the subs that we see here on Laika. You also have to talk about the subs that we have on Gaimoire as well. I mean, Angel Velato, Garchomp, Arlanta. I mean, those are solid subs in their own right. I believe Angel Velato on Team Mexico, if I remember correctly here. I hope I'm getting that right. I kind of forgot. But I mean, incredibly, like both these two rosters are incredibly well built here right now, and it's why I think a lot of people are really looking at these two rosters being ones that are being talked about a lot. I mean, you heard Parker talk about it during us selecting this game, that a lot of people are looking at talking about how Gaimoire was performing really well in scrims here. Granted, scrims and real games are two vastly different things, but it's the confidence builder that those scrims really provide to some teams that are maybe trying to find that core, maybe find that balance in their lineups right now. And if you're Gaimoire, you got off to a good start, you won your first game, but like could say the same exact thing. They won their first game as well.
Yeah, they could. So one of these teams is going to go 2-0. There's a few other teams that are definitely 2-0 right now. Heck, we might have one of the first 3-0 teams. Artemis, they have their own game going on right now. So we'll make sure to periodically check on these other games, see how they're going. But that timer's about to hit 0, so these rosters are about to be finalized. And with the last few seconds, it's looking like things are likely going to stay as they are, and that they will. And we saw this last night. The Reinhardt being banned out just feels like a scenario where, hey, we don't have anything we want to ban that badly. Reinhardt is inconsequential.
Yeah, because I think the Ryan, we saw it actually banned out. I used as a protection ban when we saw it yesterday on Circuit Royale, so that we could see the Sigma kind of stay there for Iliad Artemis. But instead, the Sigma never necessarily came out very long on that map. Instead, it was a Doomfist and then eventually an Orisa that we saw there from them. This one, though, definitely does feel like it's a one where they're just trying to say, like, hey, we have to make a ban, but we don't want to get rid of anything, much like you said there, Hunter. So it's an interesting thing because it kind of lets you know that both these teams, they want to be a little bit flexible on their support lines here. Maybe you have we've had the debate yesterday about it a little bit with, do you play the Lucio or do you play the Mizuki here? Because that's kind of been the role that that Mizuki has been filling here. It has been that Lucio. Do you want speed, or do you want a little bit more constant damage that the Mizuki provides you here? Or do you get rid of something like the Kyrie and maybe do a little bit something different here on this map?
Yeah, I could see these teams realistically going either way, because again, Muzi is in a good position right now, everything considered. But you can still opt to play super fast, but you do have to deal with the fact that if you play super fast, you also need to play peel fast as well. And those chains from Mizuki, they definitely are in a situation where it's hard to do much for your tank if they do get cut off, they do get pulled away like that. That's why these aggressive maneuvers can be punished so easily by a Mizuki, ultimately, especially a character that, again, like Kiriko, can seem to get out in a flash right there. So we'll see momentarily. As again, we're just waiting for everybody to get into the lobby to get this one going. But again, one thing I really saw when I was predicting this game is that for Gaimoire, this is a big tone setter for them right here, because again, they got a good win to start the season, but this is their big test to show like, hey, we're going to go off that momentum that we had before. We beat the #1 seed in the playoffs last season. We want to go in here showing, hey, we are still a very serious contender.
Yeah, and when you look at the next couple matchups here for this Gaimoire team, it doesn't necessarily get much easier. I mean, their next game's against Extinction. Then you have Avidity, which, again, I think that Avidity squad is still a good one. It's mostly the Anomalies team from last season. That was a playoff team. Element Normal, Iliad Artemis, Amplify, Ex Oblivione. I mean, that's their next couple games here. Then it kind of gets, I think, a little bit easier for them. But still, if you are Gaimoire here, you need to find wins against good teams like this. It's, I think, kind of unfortunate that maybe you're playing what a lot of people kind of consider maybe some of the best teams at the start of the season, but that could also be a boon for later in the season if you're able to really go above 500 against all these teams very early on.
Yeah, that is kind of the line you're looking for, is being above 500. That will normally lock you into playoffs and give you a good position, but we learned last season seeding matters quite a bit for some of these teams, and for some it worked out really well, a couple others quite as much, but we'll see what happens. As again, just waiting for some good old fun connections. But this should be a really fun matchup between these teams right here. Again, so much success in the past right here. I think the matchup I'm looking forward to seeing the most right here, realistically speaking, Winter versus J-Man. I mean, I feel like we've seen this battle in the past with the Sojourns as well, but obviously no Sojourn for this one. Maybe J-Man has a Xion to pull out. I'm going to keep it a buck. I don't know who's going to play it on this team comparatively, but I could see J-Man and Winter both coming out on it.
Well, based on what J-Man told me, they have been liking Xion here, but does it make sense here on Antarctic Peninsula? The answer might be just yes, it does, because I feel like a lot of teams are still really experimenting with Xion. But I mean, if you don't see the Xion, you have something like that cast there. You have a lot of other options that you could definitely bring out. Both options that we know both J-Man and Winter are very, very good on here. Hell, they excel. Maybe some of the best of those here. Maybe some of the best players on those heroes in Masters tier here. But sounds like everyone's in the lobby. We will be heading in momentarily here, Hunter. But I mean, you look at the DPS lines here, you look at the support lines. I think you really have to talk about the tanks here as well. Hitori and Gap. It's going to be really interesting to see that, especially with how Sigma has kind of come into being that meta tank here. Remember, last season, for the most part, it was D.Va. Then it became Mauga a little bit. But ever since then, now you're starting to see this Sigma come back in. That leads to a little bit more poke comps here and there, but you're seeing some teams really get aggressive with the Sigma here. But look at the two teams right now, basically playing both the same things. You have to imagine that both Lampent and Zach gonna get off the sim here after the TP. And what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be the Tracer, or is it gonna be that Xion? I think that's the difference right now. But it actually doesn't look like neither one of them are going to get off it. And I don't disagree with that here. You know there's going to be a shield on the other side. Melt that down right away while not using any of your own ammo.
I don't really blame any choice right there. I think Sigma's in a really good spot. The fact that Zach is over on the sim is, it can either work or it can get shut down just like that. Hitori taking care of business immediately. Without the sim, you lose a lot of that big burn damage potential you get from that beam. And unfortunately, Gap on the run, not going to get out of here alive, and everyone going to be cleaned out here. Gaimoire going to get J-Man and Hutch out of there alive, as Laika going to start with the first fight, as they're going to catch J-Man out.
Yeah, and this is the difference here. This is why the sim is so important to both these two teams. I think you didn't see the follow-up there. Zach's TP needed to really be a little bit of a bait, but Zach decided to go through it and ended up getting themselves punished. You see the TP come out there from Lampent. Everyone from Laika uses and just kind of runs through the rest of Gaimoire there on their way out now. And you already look at the ultimates. Winter close to a Deadeye here. Cinnabar should be able to build up to the Sanctuary early on, but Winter fighting Zach out early again, Hunter. Again, we talked about this match for Gaimoire being one that really set the tone for the season, send a statement to the rest of the Masters tier. Not the start you're looking for here, but however, it is just the start right now, but Laika off to a great start here.
Yeah, off to an amazing start. And it comes to Gaimoire, honestly, they haven't been able to get a proper fight in quite yet. They're going to TP over to the side right there. Everyone's there. It's a really good accretion over on to Gap right now. J-Man getting pretty low right now. They have to take a moment and stabilize, but you can't do that. When Gap is down on Gaimoire again, is going to be forced to get out. You can't win this fight without your Sigma there.
the TPs are becoming too predictable here for Gaimoire. Laika's just being able to get set up and know every angle that you could expect to see a TP from, and they're just punching Gaimoire time after time again. I honestly think after this point here, Hunter, if you're Gaimoire, especially if you don't find a team fight victory here, you might have to just give up on this sim just to get something else going here, because Laika's going to have a bunch of ultimates here ready to go, and Gaimoire is really not going to have a good response to any of them.
They really are. I mean, you have a rush right here, but like it can be matched so quickly, and it's gonna be matched very quickly. Hutch and Lau going through, TP behind, hoping to find somebody. Does the triple back, will catch out Zach, and now again lose early as Flux is gonna come through, catches over onto one in the air. Perfectly timed cleanse though is gonna negate all of that sweet, delicious damage as Gap gonna be forced into the corner as Deadeye is there, but this Deadeye is not gonna do much in the grand scheme of things for Gaimoire. It's overtime, the beat's there to keep 3 of them going. Zach is trying to get back here in time as Gaimoire, they need to find a pick, now, but Dex, it is falling apart slowly but steadily as it's gonna be 100-0 to get started for Laika.
Yeah, and I mean, did Gaimoire even find a pick that round? I think
question.
that's
We'll
that's
find
the
out
question I
momentarily,
want
I
to know
hope.
right now. It just seemed to struggle for them here. I mean, it's like I said, everything was very predictable there for Gaimoire. Laika knew exactly what to do to be able to punch them time after time again. And again, the only difference you're seeing between the two teams here is, well, Ewan's playing the Lucio and Cinnabar's playing that Mizuki, and that's what I said coming in this map here is, yeah, there was one pick on the Cinnabar, but that's what I was talking about, that debate of, do you play the Lucio because you want the speed, or do you play the Mizuki because, like I said, I think Mizuki gives you a little bit more constant healing if the aura's all the way up to max, and just a little bit more constant damage as well. But you needed something to go right now your way for Gaimoire in this first fight, or I kind of have to think that this point and map might just get away from them here very early on, and you see Zach get off the sim here, going over to this Mei instead. I like it a little bit better. I thought the sim wasn't really working out for them last point, and like I said, Hunter, if it didn't work out, I would heavily expect to see them swap, and they did.
Yeah, 100%. It's the right call right here. As you see, Laika is going to go over towards the point instead. Running out of some of those resources. They're going to try to take it over. And Gaimoire, honestly, they can't do a thing about it. I think they might have to simply let this flip over unless Gap is going to be brave enough to jump down, which they are. They're on there momentarily. It's going to be really hard to continuously maintain this right now as Big Chain coming through. Accretion on top of that. Trades come out the gate for the Cassidys. But at the end of the day, Laika, they're still standing strong. They still have all the damage in the world. But Gaimoire, they have something that maybe doesn't exist there. They have sustainability with Zac alive. But as I say that, the Mei goes down. Gap is chained down. Would love to get out of here alive. Will be able to accomplish that for now. But they're in such a bad scenario right now where Gaimoire, try as they might, will eventually fall over.
The benefit for Gaimoire in this entire fight is there was no point cap by Laika there. So you're not giving up that much early on here. You're going to be able to kind of come back in quickly, especially with already having a couple ultimates online. Laika, though, they have this Consumer Rush, which can really counter out anything that Gaimoire throws out here early on. J-Man has that Deadeye. You have Hutch not that far away. Gap not that far away from the Flux here. But this is a fight where if you're Gaimoire, you have maybe the advantage for the first time this map.
Dude, but Gap again down early, and Lampet already gets rid of 2, and they get a 3rd. Why not? It's been domination so far for Laika as they use the Consumer Rush. Hutch has their own now, so there is some kind of advantage, but Laika has all the other ults anyway.
Yeah, and that Sanctuary from Cinnabar is going to be a vitally important one here, because once J-Man uses that Deadeye, you have to imagine that Sanctuary is just going to go up to really block off whatever angle they're looking down to make sure that Deadeye finds 0 value here right now. Gaimoire there, again, they need to find that first pick here. They need to give themselves some kind of advantage, especially when you look at the ultimates right now. It's going to be 4v4 here. Consumer Rush out, though, from Hutch. There's the Deadeye, though, from Winter.
They're going to the back again, finds Gap. That's worst case scenario. J-Man gonna fall on over. The DPS have gone crazy so far to get things started right here, but Laika as a whole, they're looking great. They hold on to 2 amazing ultimates as well. They have plenty of solutions going into this next and potential final fight.
Yeah, Photon Barrier, Sanctuary. I mean, Laika's in a great spot, and I like this. Be aggressive here. Force ultimates out earlier. That's exactly what you're going to get.
Now, J-Man, again, down out the rip right here. Both are used by Laika, so Gaimoire, they can do a quick little regroup here. Cap's in a bit of a weird area because Zach is gone. Lamp is being kept up, has burned away 2 more. And now it is going to be a bum rush to get to the point here, but unfortunately, unless Cap goes ball here, I don't know if you can touch.
Well, you get the Doom instead, and Zach going over to the Tracer. Beat coming out from you, and so they're at least going to try to bomb rush it here. But Gap going to fall before they even get a touch here. Zach will find one, and they will get the touch, so we do at least have overtime procking here.
Yeah, and they are winning the fight currently, but Kitsune Rush could not come at a worse time here for Gaimoire. You see that shielding right in the face, all that damage eaten away. As all the pressure being delivered, Winter's going to try to run back over on the Soldier to get back in this fight, but it's Hattori all on lonesome as Gaimoire somehow, some way, are going to hold this out and win the fight.
Desperation really does a lot of things for teams. We've seen this in the past, Hunter, where teams just kind of throw everything out the window and just say, hey, we just need to get a touch here, and it ends up working out for them. Gaimoire, though, I mean, you're going to have Pulse Bomb, you're going to have Kitsune Rush ready to go this time around. The only thing that Laika's going to have really will be the Flux, but again, if this composition works for you here, you need to be able to keep it consistent right now. That was your first good fight, honestly, this entire map, and it came with when you had, I mean, essentially the 11th hour there for Gaimoire. You need to find something early on, though. However, I think this comp that they're running right now, a little bit more aggressive. They might be willing to push the envelope a little bit more.
And you gotta still make this be kind of a long-term fight. You would love to get Kitsune Rush, but the problem is Big Rock on the Gap, who's sitting in a rough spot. You can only stall so long if you're Zach, especially as Pulse Bomb going to miss out. Everybody's extremely low right now as Gap nowhere to go. And while it's a good fight to get back on here, it's not going to be much more than that. As you see, eventually, 3 left on the point. Kitsune Rush is here, but it's going to be too little too late. Zach, the last person standing, will eventually fall to Lau and Laika. Are going to only really lose one fight in that whole exchange. They're off to an amazing start.
An amazing start. And like we said coming into this one here, they have a lineup here, a roster that could be talked about as maybe one of the best rosters here. Yeah, I mean, during Frenzy, we praised Nightmare for how good of a roster that is, and especially with it being this season where it's the last chance you have this year to get back into OWCS, you're seeing a lot of teams really focus in and building up these good rosters here. Laika off to a great start here right now, and again, it just felt like there's a couple mistakes from Gaimoire in that first map, especially on this first point, that really put them behind the 8 ball. Zach using that TP to TPing them essentially into the entirety of Laika and not getting out, ended up just not working out for them. The TPs from Laika, though, they found value almost any time that Lampet threw them out there. I mean, the triple Deadeye TP that we saw right there, being able to find 2. I mean, Laika, everything that they did this map for them worked, while Gaimoire, it took them to basically desperation before they found something that worked, but it wasn't going to last forever.
No, it definitely was not. It's a really big cleanup overall. It's a good moment for Gaimoire to get back in this fight with desperation, able to take it away. But still, it's a situation where Laika, again, they start this thing really dominantly. We're going to see if they're going to be able to keep that up moving forward, as we're going to find out here pretty soon. Things are moving very quickly here on the other side of things, as we do see the bans that came through with Diva and May, and we're headed over to New Junk City because these... Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong game. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to the thing. I'm on the wrong game. Because I was curious of how other games were going. Look at him go.
You are on the right map. You are on the right map. And you do have one of the correct hero bans. So it is May being banned out here by Gaimoire. Surprisingly, considering they were the team that played May. But going over to a map like New Junk City, May has been strong in the past, definitely strong right now. But I feel like there's maybe other heroes you could go after. I think it's still kind of telling you Gaimoire might be trying to lean a little bit more towards that Symmetra here if they really want to be trying that out again. Didn't really work out for them last time, but I think they're going to try it here one more time.
I think it's maybe a different set of circumstances going into a map like New Junk City, especially that very first point. I think it can find some value. There's a lot of big inside ones that can find value as well, but there's definitely one or two that maybe you're not going to get the value from the sim from quite as much, but we'll see how much they're willing to go into that. We'll have to see what the ban is going to be from the side of Laika. I think, honestly, there's a real route we go down the scenario of, hey, inconsequential ban, because you're not going to go after tank because you can just ban the Doomfist for funsies. Honestly, that might be your one tank pick you go with. And in terms of the support line, probably not a whole lot changes either, quite frankly. So this could be another pick where Laika says, hey, we ban the Torbjorn. Have fun.
Ban the Torb, or it could really be like, hey, we're just gonna ban the Lucio here. I mean, that was the one difference that we really saw between the two teams there that first map. And yeah, that's gonna be what Laika does, banning out the Lucio here. Ewan was kind of we know how good of a Lucio player Ewan is, and it seems like with the difference here in compositions, like I said, do you want to play the Mizuki? Do you want to play Lucio? That's what Mizuki's taking over here right now, would be that spot that Lucio normally plays. So you get rid of the Lucio here, and now you're basically saying like, hey, you have to either match us on the Mizuki or play something else. And I think it's a big challenge here to Ewan saying, how comfortable are you on Mizuki right now?
Yeah, I think there's a really good chance we're going to find out just where that comfortability lies. Things should slow down just slightly, because if teams still want to play quickly, Juno is still an option. We definitely see teams opt for the Juno in the near past. We'll see if it's the case here. And at least for the time being, yeah, actually, there is a possibility they go out and do this. Huh. Yeah, no way. Don't do that to it. Don't troll.
I mean, the Ryan ban might have been a legitimate ban here right now. I am feeding into that. But look what the two teams are playing here. J-Man sticking with the cast. But you saw there for a brief moment that it was actually Winter who was hovering over the Xion before they swapped to the Sim, probably just for a TP out, especially since you really don't have speed rating though coming out here from Lao most likely. But
my God.
The Zarya is gonna be the interesting one right here, because Gap does have a little bit of an advantage at that when that Zarya is low charge. The higher charge that Zarya gets here, Gap's gonna have to play a little bit safer now. But Winter now showing us the Xion, J-Man on this cast, so you're seeing differences in these compositions. And I mean, we haven't even talked about that we're seeing Vendetta, I think, for the first time this season. A hero that got buffed recently, but had been really out of the meta for the most part ever since Ascent for the first time, really.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's only so much the characters that Gaimoire has selected can really do to a Vendetta either. I say that as Lampa gets extremely low to get things started. Laika has a body over on the point. They're going to be able to get the touch, and you're going to see them try to go through big down slash, but not going to mean a whole lot here as the trades start going both ways. Gaimoire trying to stabilize Gap, who is getting extremely low. You need to find a pick, and you need to find it now. Unfortunately for J-Man, who is still hanging about, isn't going to be finding that here.
No one's going to be able to get out. J-Man, Ewan, Zach, last ones to die right there. Last ones to respond. You're already seeing the swaps coming out here from Gaimoire. Gap going over to this Ramatra. Again, when Zarya first got strong in the meta here about, I'm going to say almost a year ago at this point, a lot of teams looked at the Ramatra as that counter to the Zarya, because you can punch through the bubbles. Yeah, you're giving a little bit of charge to it, but you're damaging that Zarya, which is vitally important here. And you look at how Laika's team composition is set up here. That the Ramatra is a little more built to withstand a lot of that pressure that's going to be given to them here very early on, especially with that Nemesis form.
Yep, here comes that aggression as well. Gap gonna force everybody out of into the outside area. Actually, Gaimoire can maybe put a body on and take this right now, but they push in really far. Ewan gets taken care of, and all this damage from Winter is eventually going to work out. Gap momentarily staggering as no one from Gaimoire are going to spawn in time here. Laika, 100-0 to get things started. They have 3 big ultimates, and hey, a combo we haven't seen in a long time, Dex. It's gonna be the Sundering Blade Grav combo coming up.
But do you really use that as a combo? Yeah, I mean, I think you should. It's really cool to see it. But is that necessarily what you want to do right there if you're like it? Probably the case will be yes. I mean, they're playing so good right now. I don't think it would be a big deal for them, especially with Gap making that swap. You know, they're going to be a little bit behind their ult economy, so you could be aggressively here, especially as Laika could realistically build to all 5 of their ultimates this fight. But Deadeye coming out from J-Man, just trying to buy some space.
Yeah, oh, it's on the high right now. At least find somebody. Almost does as you take an awkward trade right there. PCNurick is here in the 4v4. PCNurick gonna throw it the other way, but not before you lose out on Lampa. So Hattori needs to stay alive, has all this damage to be able to burn it through as they're eventually going to get forced off for the point. Back to fight away, and Lao is going to be more than happy to double down on this fight and invest, because Gaimoire, they're close to so much, but they need to get this stuff online now because Ewan is suffering. Zach is suffering. You see Zach barely able to get out of there as Laika. He's going to get the initial flip, but Hattori's so incredibly low. Lampin needs to get somebody with this. Gap is low, but Dex, this has already been an all-out affair.
I mean, yeah, all the ultimates coming out. Now even more ultimates and Annihilation from Gap here. It has to be the exclamation mark on this fight. They will get taken out, but you're seeing it go towards Gaimoire here at the moment.
Yeah, and they're still there. Ewan's gonna pop it as well. And to be fair, you still have a chance of losing this fight. I can't necessarily blame you because it's the battle of the beams that eventually Zach is going to win. They're gonna get the flip, but give credit to Laika. They built to another grab. They get 48%, and they essentially drain Gaimoire's ult economy.
Yeah, I mean, both ult economies are basically set to 0, other than Hattori having that grab ready to go this fight. But if you're Gaimoire, you cannot be grouped up here. Granted, you do have the TP to get you out of a sticky situation here with that grab, but you cannot make it an easy target here for Hattori to be able to punish you very early on here, as you already see him kind of just backing up and giving up a little bit of space here.
Yep, Gap remaining right in Hattori's face as well. And you're just a solo grab. There's nothing you can do to keep Gap alive too much in this scenario, but Gap can save themselves, apparently. That block is eating all of that damage, and now we're down to 60%. Hutch has Kitsune Rush, and unfortunately, Cinnabar Lao, they're not going to be able to match. So if this comes out here in a couple of seconds, there's only so much you can do, but it's an excellent right-click from Hattori to take care of Zach, and now it is Gaimoire that need to try to bring this one back, get some cleanup detail going right now. As you can see, Ewan is on the run, is literally 1 health, I think. Can't make it back. Oh, gonna try to, but eventually will fall over, and Gaimoire, I think this overtime might be as far as they get.
Yeah, Grimoire's just essentially stalling out here, and Cinnabar now investing in this one here. I think if you're Gaimoire, you just get out right now. You got what you were looking for right there. You were hoping Laika would invest into a fight that they already lost, but they were just going to stagger it out as long as they possibly could. You got rid of, I think, vitally the most important ultimate on that side with that Kitsune Rush. J-Man, though, will have that Deadeye. You will have the Photon Barrier to kind of counter out Lao's Orbital Ray coming up here, which I think needs to be used very, very well. Lambert does have that the Sundering Blade coming online here for Laika at the moment, but it really didn't find the value last time with it. It's one of those ultimates that's very much hit or miss here for them.
Yep, we're area to be in. Gap, you just take so much damage right there. There's nothing you can do. J-Man is going to Deadeye, but it gets rid of 1. It's not going to be enough, and now for more, backs against the wall once more. Zach, the last one to fall down. J-Man, I think, maybe considering a real swap at this point.
We're gonna see here right now, and yeah, going over to the Bastion instead. I don't hate this. I don't hate this, but you look at Laika's DPS line here. Those are 2 DPS that can just fly across the map, or essentially one can drive across the map here. It's gonna be very difficult for J-Man to kind of get set up in any position, especially without the cat here, which, I mean, I would not be surprised if you do see the cat come out here at some point, but definitely not on this point in particular. And Hunter, we're back to bubble pop composition right now here for Gaimoire. You need to be able to pop these bubbles quickly to pump in as much damage as you possibly can, and you just need to be able to find someone early on, because that's been the key for Gaimoire. Find that first pick in some of these engagements has really led them to their couple fight wins.
Yeah, that's a double down right there. Big TP for the moment. You trade out Lampin for J-Man. It's not a bad trade, but Winter, Tatsurika Spree is ready to go. Could have a chance to go in. Eventually is going to be kept up a little while longer. Goes in, gets rid of Zach with it. Would love to find a bit more. Eventually gets taken out, but Dex, maybe the damage is already done because Gap is trying to chase some people down. But Lao and Cinnabar want absolutely nothing to do with the Ramatra, as the point still wide open for the taking. Needs to find some kind of capitalization. The Gap is hoping to be the one to do it. Has gotten rid of 2, and Gaimoire this time around should be able to start out with the point.
Yeah, they need to clean this fight up, though. If they can find Winter on the way out, that would be a huge stagger, but I think Winter's going to be able to get themselves out of dodge here on the bike for the most part. And I don't think Gaimoire's necessarily going to chase them very much here. They do not want to put themselves to a spot where they can get punished, but no, they're chasing. I'm kind of surprised by that, but I mean, if you're Gaimoire, I think you're just looking to try to give yourself a shot here. If you were able to find maybe 1 pick there, that was the shot you needed. Man, that fight, though, for Gaimoire, it come at the cost of a couple ultimates. Orbital Ray and the Annihilation out there. You look at the other side, you have the Kitsu. I was going to say you have the Sundering Blade, but Zach able to find Lampet out there, and that's been the key here, Hunter. Gaimoire needs to find more fights like this where they get rid of someone like Lampet early.
Yep, and now it's that 1 fight situation where you're going to have 2 really good ultimates in this fight. And you're to see them already rotate over to this high ground because they can get Lampet back in relatively quick fashion. The question if you're Gaimoire, are you investing this 1 all here quickly, or are you going to have to pull back, which eventually they will, but with Hutch, J-Man, Zach, all already gone for Gaimoire. It is a fast fight done and dusted, and Laika only used the 1, and now that combo, it could be utilized this time.
It could be utilized, and it might honestly need to be, because you look at Hattori's grabs here, I believe they've had 3 so far this map. I think they've only maybe found 1 pick so far, and a lot of times they've been solo grabbing Gap here, just try to get rid of them, but that Nemesis form does so much there, and Hutch and Ewan doing a good job keeping alive, but you look at what else Laika has here. Yeah, Sundering Blade, Orbital Ray for Lao, not that far away. That could really be the key here for them. You might just see the grab and Orbital come out here, and that Sundering Blade might just be held onto, but the TP directly to the point here for Gaimoire. They're going to try to force Laika to come down a point and fight them there.
You do force the drop right there from Hattori, but the more time goes on, the more awkward this is going to be because it's already a one-fight situation. Lampet, though, is caught out, and now Hattori in a rough situation has to hide away for the moment being, and it's looking like with the point flipping over, grab comes through. Winter gonna go with Satsuriga Spree, unfortunately only gets rid of Zac, and now the numbers game is going to pay off for Gaimoire as Lao still hanging around. Gaimoire will take the third point, and if they're lucky, the next one gonna be right behind them, and it looking like it is indeed gonna be that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Gaimoire, you take that was a really good point for you there. And I think this composition is slowly starting to settle in now. And look, Hunter, I mean, Gaimoire only used that Kitsune Rush last fight. Look at what they have now. Everything else, Laika's going to be able to come back in here, yeah, with that blade and with the Orbital Ray. But Hattori, again, another grab that finds nothing here. This Zarya is doing good outside of everything that has to do besides her ultimate at the moment.
Yep, good pull down right there as you see the back and forth right now. Wall being used by Zac as Lampet trying to cut through it. Not gonna do a whole lot as Lampet super low, has to try to get out of there alive as J-Man looking for a target. Not any good one sitting by, still catches on to Cinnabar. And now he's gonna get back into this fight. Lampet on the run as Gap trying to chase down Hattori, who has to get out of dodge right there to stay alive. Gap may have been up more than they could chew, but at least for the time being, this point should cap the way of Gaimoire, but this is becoming a little sloppy back and forth where your Gap may be considering the investment right here because it's down to the 2v2. Lampet, Winter both still around, have so much damage to offer, and with J-Man down, Gap has to make a decision here.
And Gap's going to make that decision right now. The Annihilation coming out here, and you're going to see a little bit of a fallback here. Finding Cinnabar's huge, and now if you're Lampet, I think you just take the death here, get the reset. You got what you wanted, honestly, there. You force that ultimate out. Yeah, you would love to get that first point cap, but once you saw that ultimate come out there from Gap Hunter, you have to imagine Laika said, okay, we can take a sigh of relief here coming in this next fight, knowing that that's not going to be ready to kind of counter out Cinnabar's Kitsune Rush right now. And look at Lampet getting off of the Vendetta now. I think it was very hit or miss. I think they provided enough pressure at times, but I think going over to this Reaper, it's going to do a little bit more here this time around, and it's also still going to provide Hattori with the charge they're looking for.
Yeah, you see that separation as well. TP tried going through, and now it's a rough scenario as Lao gets low. I think Gap thought they got rid of Lao. No, didn't happen, and now you get a free Cap coming through. Gap really low, eventually is going to be kept up. You see on the run right here, J-Man this time does finish the job, but the grab is big this time. Gets rid of 3, and J-Man Gap, try as they might, will eventually fall over.
That's the second time this point that Gap has chased after someone, maybe thinking that they would kill him with the next punch, miss the punch, and then kind of just wildly turn around saying, where'd they go? And it led to that first fight there where they did end up winning that fight, taking the point, but it did come at the cost of Annihilation. That time around, though, you get rid of Lao there, who now goes over to the Wu Yang here, which I think is a little bit better, as I think you just slowly starting to see Laika maybe go to a competition where their supports are going to be a little bit further away from the point right now. And I think it's going to work out great for them, but you look at them, both DPS ultimates going to be online here for them. J-Man is going to have to do a lot with this artillery.
Yeah, Satsuriga Spree is going into the back line, though. It'd be difficult to deal with. They double down with DPS ultimates, and with you and J-Man both gone, Gaimoire, there's not a whole lot they can honestly do here. Zac close to the wall, but it will matter not. Hutch, last one alive. OT is going to tick away. And Laika going to move on to match point early on.
Again, just unfortunate. I thought Gaimoire was getting a little bit better as that map went on. I just think if you find the one pick at the start of this fourth point here, before it kind of went scrappy, kind of went all the way out there with Gap using or investing the Annihilation there, I think you find that one pick, you don't see that contestment from Laika. They hold on to that Annihilation, and then they have it for the next fight. And yeah, I think it came down to, it was really, you saw Grab finally find some value there from Hattori. I mean, it found 3 members of Gaimoire. You found all 3. That was the first time there was a big grab there from Hattori. Not saying that the other ones weren't big, that they didn't lead to fight victories, but it did enough there to really put Gaimoire in a bad spot where they were rushing back in and they were not able to get set back up here. Laika, though, up 2-0 in this series, but if you're Gaimoire, the little positive you can take is that you start to even the fights here a little bit. It looked closer than map 1.
I 100% did. Again, you saw Gaimoire willing to take quite a bit of risk, ends up working out, honestly, in a lot of situations, but it's the same scenario we kind of had back on Antarctic Peninsula, where Gaimoire they were playing in a hole what almost felt like from the get-go. Again, they make the swaps with J-Man. I think it works out big time. But Hitori over on this Ahri was so difficult to deal with. The grabs might not have been the biggest things in the world, but honestly, the fact that Hitori was consistently in these fights, consistently at this high damage, that's so difficult to deal with. I think even more difficult to deal with than a Symmetra.
Yeah, and like I said before, we saw that three-person grab at the end of the map right there. Everything besides the grabs for Hitori that map were great. You were applying the right amount of pressure. You're putting the bubbles onto the right people, and a lot of times going onto Lampet, whether they were on that Vendetta or on that Reaper there towards the end. I mean, hell, we even saw him give it to the Xion there from times because you wanted to play that composition very aggressively, very deathball-y, and Laika did a good job of doing that throughout the entire map. The swap there from J-Man, from the Cassie to the Bastion did work out for Gaimoire there, being able to slow them down just enough, forcing them to play a little bit more honest there. But it was just maybe, I'm not going to say a swap a little bit too late, because I think it was made at the right time, but one that maybe you have to think in the back of their mind, they were thinking about making 1 or 2 fights before that point, and it would have been incredible then.
It would have definitely been incredible. So we'll see if they can kind of make their own adjustments, because Gaimoire, they're going to choose to take us over to Circuit Royale, and Dexatron, their ban, he's going to be the Allari, which, to be fair, can't be mad if there's one of the few maps where Allari gets played. This is definitely it, but this still leaves the Sigma to be played. This still leaves, honestly, a lot of things on the table that are going to be difficult for Gaimoire to have to deal with.
Yeah, it really is. And Cassidy gave me an immediate ban right there from Laika, and I don't blame them. Get rid of a hero that J-Man is very much known for. J-Man themselves said that they are a one-trick on the Cass here. Force them to play something else, but we know how good of a hit scan they are, so they could go over to the Widow, they could go over to the Freya, go over to the Ashe, the Hanzo, the Xion here, if they want to play a hit scan Xion. It's going to be interesting to see that. However, I really do think this should have been the ban here of Sigma. If you're Gaimoire, this is a poke map. You bring us to a heavy poke map. You go back to map 1 where both teams played Sigma, and it was just Hitori kind of gap there.
Yeah, it was a real unfortunate narrow gap. Definitely had plenty of good moments, but in this situation right here, we're going back to the Sigma, which, we look back at how things went, universally went pretty well for Hitori in comparison. So we'll see how things go. As getting ready for the defense right here, we saw this yesterday where we had the Sierra come out. And now, and to be fair, it was this map as well, but Winter is going to do the exact same. Sierra going to be played on the defense.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing. I'll bring up the exact same thing I said yesterday. You've seen pro players talk about here's their tier list of all the heroes, and everyone's putting Sierra towards the bottom. But I mean, I think a lot of people are doing that same thing with Lifeweaver before you saw teams in OWCS play Lifeweaver on this map. And yeah, Lifeweaver still wasn't viable on other maps, but this is probably a very map-specific pick here. TP, though, coming out right away, trying to catch Laika off by surprise, but I think Laika was ready for it.
Yep, Zach not playing around, immediately makes a swap. J-Man does as well. Oh, okay. Literally everything except for the Sigma gets dropped. We're bringing back Cat Bastion for this one. Okay.
It's still not necessarily out of the meta right now, and if they can find these picks here to open up space, that's what they want here for it. And we saw this really work out for them last season in the playoffs to get that huge upset victory in round 1 over Team Z there. So if it can give them the jump they're looking for here, Hunter, Gaimoire needs one, and they need one desperately.
They definitely do. And again, Zach in there on the Xion now to output a ton of damage. You can do so much. As long as you're alive, that is. Zach, it's dangerously low right there. As Sierra, honestly, a character where if you can latch that on, you can burn down J-Man or Ewan if you get the chance. But it's gonna be a difficult one to pull out as Hitori getting forced back further and further. You get latched onto, J-Man has to completely pull the corner, get out of this one. As Zach somehow, I think, gets hit with the accretion off the edge.
Yeah, they got hit with the accretion right there. Nice.
Oh, what?
Rock by Hitori hitting Ewan. Cinnabar are going to be able to clean them up here. And I mean, Hunter, this is going to be a fight loss here for Gaimoire. Yeah, you're going to be able to find Lampet out, but it's going to be a fight loss. But look at the ultimates you have here. You have Artillery, you have Nano. I think the Nano's going to be the most important ultimate here for Gaimoire. Coming up, Hitori, though, could really slow that down here with their Flux. You have Orbital and the Tidal Blast here. Lampet not that far away from a Barrage, but if they get that nano out early on and find one pick, it opens up a lot. Even with the ultimate that Laika has here, you might see one or two get invested just to try to slow it down, and already it's out on the J-Man.
Yep. Going to invest right here just to make sure you can keep Cinnabar, I should say, more in the situation. Lampet alive, it gets out of there alive. Hattori getting extremely low, but it's J-Man who's going to fall mid-ultimate, and it's not enough to burn down the Sigma either. So again, Gaimoire going to get forced back. You get rid of Lau, but unfortunately, with these late deaths coming through, not going to matter a whole lot.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. If you're Gaimoire, that only was 2 ultimates there. You got out 3 ultimates from the other side. Tidal Blast, Orbital Ray, and Flux. Granted, they still have 2 ultimates of their own here with the Sierra and the Barrage here ready to go, but you're going to have Catnap, you're going to have Flux, you're going to have the Spiral here for Zach. You have the advantage right now. If you can find that first pick, or at least be able to force Laika back here a little bit away from the choke, you're going to be able to find some Catnap out though. So same thing with the Barrage in the corner, and J-Man going to be able to punish Lampet.
Yeah, Flux comes through, catches on the 2 people, and J-Man starting to clear the house a little bit. Just a couple more remaining, and now you need to put 3 people on this point and let Gap and Zach play a little aggressively coming out here. Zach still has Satsurigu Spree just in case.
I feel like this is a little bit of a misplay here for Gaimoire. You need to have Ewan and J-Man up there trying to make sure you don't get a touch coming out here. It's going to be a little bit late there for Hattori as they go over to this Rhine. But, I mean, if you can keep Hattori up here on this Rhine, you might be able to, never mind, I'm not even going to say you might be able to hold here. Now Laika is just looking for that S key and just trying to put everything into reverse here, getting out of this one as quickly as they possibly can.
And they definitely do that. J-Man is still hanging about. Can't pick that too easily. And now you're just going to keep the Hutch back over on the point. Keep that thing rocking and rolling as you imagine you want to play up here a little more aggressively to make this gap harder to come through. But Laika, they'll be able to set right back up pretty simply.
Yeah, but because of that swap there from Hattori, I mean, they gave up some ult charge. They're going to be a little bit behind Gap now, but you look at everyone else here. Orbital Ray, Tidal Blast could be online here, so Laika's still going to be able to play aggressively here, but Zach has that Spiral, another Artillery here ready for J-Man to be able to buy them some space here soon.
And you see trying to burn away as eventually you're going to see Orbital Ray being used. Ewan gone, J-Man, yeah, might as well be back in with him right there as Gaimoire still hanging around in the little cubby hole, but honestly, you might be trying to take this reset as quick as possible as Zach Hutch. No way you're getting out of here alive. And now, this is where Laika can opt to play aggressively, and at least for the moment, they're definitely doing so.
They are. We saw them do it not last month, but all the way back on Anonoric Peninsula. They played aggressively, forced Gaimoire to really have to make a lot of their own moves here. But look at what Gaimoire has here, Hunter. All 5 ultimates online. Lampet, I mean, my bad. Laika's going to have 4 of their own here, so it's not necessarily they're that far behind right now. Considering out here from Hutch, this is exactly what Laika's looking for. Get rid of some of these key ultimates very early on.
Yeah, J-Man trying to burst away at somebody. Hattori, the best person you could have gotten by far right there, but you see the aggression coming through from Lampet, who does get accretion away, isn't able to stun anybody, and yeah, it's a really good display right there, but this fight's not over yet. Lau and Cinnabar basically obliterate the backline by themselves, and that's disastrous for Gaimoire.
It really is, but still, if you're Gaimoire, again, the one bright spot of that is you didn't use all your ultimates. You only used the 1. You still have 4 coming up. Yeah, Laika's going to have 3 of their own here and not that far away from another Orbital Ray. But now this is the fight where if you're Gaimoire, you need to have it be that fight on point 1, the one where they finally are able to open it up here, get it going, because that card's not necessarily in that far enough away to where if you put 3 on after getting a team kill, you'll be able to get that point, but you already...
Oh, yeah. I mean, Zach finds 1. It's still back and forth. Both the Sigmas are still alive. Zach, though, eventually falls. Gap all on their lonesome now, and you'd love to get out of here alive, but odds not looking good.
And Lampet looking like they've been playing Xion for years here right now, doing everything right there. And again, if you're Gaimoire, bright side is you only used 1 ultimate. Granted, the other side, they use 1 ultimate as well. It's going to be even going into this fight, Hunter. This is last fight here. From this point out, if you're Gaimoire, that car is backed up far enough to essentially you're going to be playing it for the entire time. And I think you have to use his artillery here early if you are J-Man, just to buy your team a little bit of space here.
They're definitely trying to, and now final fight territory. Flux going to come through, catches onto a couple people. Hattori, super low, gets stolen away momentarily as well as Lampet to be taken care of, and now this backline slowly falling apart. Hattori's still in here, but here's going to take this loss right here. Taking the reset, you still have a Flux coming through, but it's going to be the Flux, and Hutch, the only one with even a chance to have this ult ready.
Yeah, and I understand why they're leaving Gap there on the cart. They want to get J-Man set up here on this off angle right now, but you do not want to be Sig 9'd here. That would be worst case scenario for you. And you have to imagine Hattori's going to throw out that flux the moment Hutch decides to pop the... Actually, no, they're just going to throw it out first.
Yeah, and the cleanse is perfectly timed. PCNurick is there. This is going to be such a tough fight to win. It's a good time cleanse right there, but you lose out on both of the Sigma. Still plenty of care coming through, and Lau, last one standing, will eventually fall. The OT will reset for Gaimoire. 125 left on the clock. It's a doable scenario, but my God, is it going to be tough. And you look back at this, that's an amazing accretion over on the Hattori.
Gaimoire finding ways to win these fights has been big here, but they need to get something going here. You look at that time bank, Hunter, already almost a minute to go. You're really not that far away from final fight territory, especially if you get this card here pushed a little bit further. You might only really realistically have one more fight if you lose one here, so you need to keep this momentum up right now. But Laika, they can come out here with some ultimates right now as Winter now makes a swap over to the Soj.
Soj for the first time today. See what kind of action we get. Again, Soj still has so much up potential, even with characters like the Xion still existing. Trust me, you can get a lot out of her. But we'll see how it goes down. Hutch is already down. Stun not going to get anybody, but you're going to go with the Satsurika spree anyway. Lempit's going to get rid of 3 total as J-Man hits the reset button, and we're back where we started. Gaimoire going to get wiped away, and they have a catnap, but a couple more vital tools around the corner.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They're going to what do they use to get out? They had the beat back on Antarctic. They don't have a beat this time around. And you already see them coming in, and yeah, it's going to be it's going to be Hattori getting kind of pulled away here for a brief moment, but I mean, it's at least going to open the door, but still someone has to get back to the point and touch, especially losing Gap. Who's your toucher now?
Zach's gonna have to try, does get rid of one as OT is going to kick in, and in fact, advantage for the time being is with Gaimoire. Hattori's in a really rough spot, is super low, getting finished off with a massive right here, but they didn't be able to do so. Winter gets rid of one, would love to find a second cleanse, perfectly timed by Hutch though, as Gaimoire gonna try to keep pushing forward, but man, they are barely holding on here.
Barely overclock though coming out from Winter, I believe, on that high ground, and you immediately see Gaimoire have to play their angles right now, not to get their head taken off. Flux though coming out from Gap.
Yep, it's gonna go solo over onto Winter. Winter should be as good as Sun, but
no,
wait. Oh my God, and they can't get back to the point either. So Gaimoire stopped at the final hurdle. It's a rough display. They get rather far, but Laika, man, they made it look so difficult.
They know, Laika made it difficult throughout that entire round right there. They really did. And I mean, this would have been an amazing play coming out of the gate, but everyone kind of got melted down there by just everything there from Laika. But I mean, Laika made it difficult. Their entire composition made it very difficult. J-Man going over to this Bastion, I thought, again, opened up a lot of doors for this team, but it still left them some spots where you were seeing Laika being able to punish them. That is a huge hitbox, and you saw time after time where Winter was able to get that tracking dart onto J-Man and force essentially that Cat Bastion to really not find any value because they just had to play around a corner waiting for that tracking dart to go away. And Hunter, the Cassidy ban coming out, or the Iari ban coming out here from Gaimoire. Again, I asked the question, why not the SIG here? Why not get rid of the SIG? I think this is a much better showing from Gap compared to what we saw back on Antarctic Peninsula, especially with Hattori still playing the SIG here. But why not ban out the SIG here if you're Gaimoire? I think they're still looking at this as this is a series that has a couple more maps left in it, so they're holding on to it. But this is definitely the map where SIG is... Well, I mean, we called this a SIG map when this map first came out, and now SIG's meta. This is essentially his map yet again.
Yep, and I cannot be happier for it. But we see out the gate, double speed for Laika to get things going, as they're going to try to go really fast, and wow, they want Gap dead. They accomplish it. Cinnabar goes down for it, but I would say it's a worthwhile trade, but they are losing people. But the bright side is, this is going to take a long time for the Gap to get back. Ewan is going to have to drop off J-Man and go for the pickup.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you already see it right there through the wall. Ewan just going to get Gap back into this fight. Gaimoire's going to give up a little bit of space here, but Hunter, look at that. 30 seconds gone. Ooh. That's exactly what you were looking for. Yeah, you would love not to have Gap died, but you needed a start like that. You needed to start that force like the back. And look, Laika now matching you. Besides the Ana, because Hutch really likes his Ana right now, but they're matching you.
I honestly, don't blame them at all. Honestly, I kind of like the decision too, because now you're going to see Focus be swapped over, so now you can let Lampet do Lampet things, basically. Tori can focus a lot more on this 1v1, because J-Man and Winter, they're going to be focused on each other a lot more frequently. So we'll see how this goes, as that entire open area did get given away, as Tori lands another accretion onto J-Man, and now Gaimoire, they're on the run. They need to keep Gap alive here, as unfortunately for Gaimoire, this could be a really quick loss, but Gap Ewan do everything they can to hold on here, as unfortunately, it's not going to be enough.
I mean, you're going to be able to get everyone these closer spawns. I think that's going to be the biggest benefit here for Gaimoire. And this second point is a very difficult one to kind of come back and take if you're the attacking team and you lose a fight going up the hill here. I mean, we saw Gaimoire struggle on it last time. That's exactly what they need to do now. Over 4.5 minutes on the time bank for Laika. They can take a fight here to build up some ultimates, maybe force a couple out from Gaimoire, and then come back in with full force here. But Laika, I don't think they want to play like that. I think they want to play aggressively, as the Nano invested on the J-Man.
Yep, Hut's going to be able to get out of that one right here. And J-Man trying to find some victims. Definitely finds one with Cinnabar, but doesn't mean the fight's over quite yet. Winter is hanging on by a thread. Will eventually be taken care of, and it's J-Man trying to clear some things out. Has gotten rid of 2, and Lau eventually going to be found out right there. But still, even with that fight lost, Laika still with 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, like I said, and Laika, they didn't use an ultimate there. You got out one of the Nano, I think is a very vital one for Gaimoire. If you're Laika, just build up your ultimates here and then throw them all out at once if you have to here, or if you want to. I mean, Gaimoire's going to have to respond with their ultimates of their own here, but Hitori Gap have Fluxes online, and Gap's going to be the first one to throw theirs out.
Yep, time's perfectly timed again. Not going to do a whole lot. Catnap did come through, as you're going to see a momentary steal as Lampet taking a nice little nap right there, it looks like, as Gaimoire trying to keep things going, but unfortunately, it's just Zac and Hutch alive. Satsuriga Spree does come through for Zac. It only really pushes everybody back, as Zac is a bit of a vulnerable spot. Just has to fall here.
They fell, but they weren't able to stall the card out there, meaning that Gaimoire's gonna have to come rushing back out here. And yeah, I mean, ultimates were thrown out there by both teams immensely. Cinnabar does have the catnap, but J-Man might have to really use his artillery just to try to force Laika off the cart here for just a brief moment. And yeah, there it comes out. It's gonna force him off of the cart here, but catnap from Cinnabar does find Gap.
Yeah, but Gap, so close to going down, barely stays alive, and now has all the overhealth in the world to keep pushing on forward. But Winter thinks it's still a very winnable fight, as you take the awkward trade of Tori, J-Man being traded out, but Winter has now gotten rid of 2. Cinnabar gonna be able to get out of the fight momentarily. Zac needs to find somebody, and needs to find somebody now. But if you're Gaimoire, you're hanging on by a thread, trying to stay in this one, and unfortunately, Gap cannot do this alone, and Laika are gonna cap this thing with 4 whole minutes on the clock here after some last-second moments from J-Man.
And remember, Gaimoire did get this cart pretty decently far here, but I mean, you're going to see the golden box of victory. Never mind, Lampin not going to go down the hallway right there, but again, Gaimoire, they're still in this one here. That's the thing. 4 minutes, a long time to do it, but again, points 2 and points 3 on this map, very difficult to kind of get your momentum back here if you're the attacking team and you lose a fight or 2, and that's what Gaimoire's looking for here. They're looking for these early fight wins. Again, that's been a key to them very importantly throughout the series so far, but I don't like how much space they're really giving up here for Free Hunter, because look, that's about half the space that they have to give up right now already.
Yeah, it's really rough. We're already getting into 1-fight territory, too. It's super difficult to have to deal with right now, but Zac is going to go in. He's finding victims, but it's going to be the immediate go in. Big stun onto Zac, and that doesn't get rid of the ult fully, but honestly, it might as well have. J-Man is gone, Zac is gone, a catnap is here, and it's going to help get rid of Winter, but unfortunately, never mind. Things are still winnable. It has to be winnable. It's final fight, as eventually someone has to make it back over towards the point. It is going to be Zac who's going to take care of their counterpart. Gaimoire stay alive, but by the skin of their teeth.
You need to get rid of Tori. You need to get rid of Tori. You need this big stun. You cannot afford to lose yourselves here, but they might lose this one here.
Oh my god. And I think they are. Tori gets rid of 3. And now J-Man Hutch, the only 2 remaining. I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. They get back to the point. Nano, not anywhere near close. Lampet gonna finish this one off. Laika will take the sweep in 3-0 fashion. Gaimoire, they fight to the bitter end, but the heroics had too much to deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, Laika looked like just the better team throughout this entire series here. I think a couple mistakes. Map 1 for Gaimoire really allowed Laika just to kind of take control of it and never really look back from it. Map 2, new junk. I mean, Gaimoire had their opportunities, but I think 1 or 2, again, mistakes kind of hurt them there. And this was a map that looked really good for them. I don't necessarily think there was a mistake that they made in this third map. Not necessarily one that was, like, necessarily fight losing or map losing there, but I think this is just early on in the season. You have some growing pains every season, and if you're Gaimoire, we talked about how difficult of a matchup this was going to be for them, and how, unfortunately for them, their next couple matchups are still tough ones. I mean, I'm going to pull it up right now. Their next game is against Extinction. Then you have Avidity, Element Normal, Aliad Artemis, Amplify, Exo. Those are their next 6 games here, Hunter. And I mean, if you can go 500 in those, I think you'll be in a good spot. If you can go above 500, if you're Gaimoire here, you'll be in an amazing spot. But Laika, again, I think a lot of people are talking about Nightmare, like what Parker was talking about during Faceit Frenzy. But Laika is definitely one that should be getting talked about as much as Nightmare is.
I think you have to have that conversation. You absolutely do. Because again, this is a lot of amazing people that are used to making it to the end, that are used to playing against the very best and winning against the very best too. They've been in this position before, and there's a chance they can do the exact same thing this season as well. I mean, Gaimoire, they come in here, they put up fights, but again, it's maybe a lack of consistency compared to what Laika was able to do, and how much they were able to stay in these fights consistently, make heroic plays like that. Hattori finishing the game right then and there. It's a big display for Laika. They look incredible. Gaimoire, they're going to need that bounce back game coming up soon.
And again, their next game is actually, my bad. Their next game is actually against TBD here. So definitely a bounce backable game, but then they get into that gauntlet of 6 really tough teams here. Actually, TBD is probably another one of those really tough teams, to be honest, as well. But again, the bounce back should be there for Gaimoire. We've seen this team in the past, especially under the Amplify banner, be able to bounce back pretty well here. So I'm not necessarily worried about them. Again, they went up against a really tough team early on in the season. So I think this is a good kind of litmus test for them. It set the bar for them. Now they just got to be able to kind of work out some of the stuff, because they do have another game. It's not Friday. It is Saturday against TBD there. But if you're Laika, I mean, you're off to the start you were truly looking for here. And I mean, your next couple games here are now you have Mouse 5 on Friday, Extinction on Monday, and then the Fallen on Wednesday. And hell, you go look the next Friday, it's Avidity again. So you actually have a little bit of a favorable lineup here for next games. For if you're Laika, you might be looking at potentially being 6, maybe 8-0 come the end of next week.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be an incredible display. We'll see what they're going to be able to do. Still a couple more games going on tonight. Right now, Vivacity is up 2-1 on Mouse 5, and meanwhile, Artemis is up 2-1 on Dark Mode. And as you might have suspected, Nightmare does beat Element Normal 3-0. But with that being the case, that's all we really have here today. We're going to send you over to that former game, Mouse 5 and Vivacity, that is heading over to Match Point in Vivacity's manner. So, everyone, hey, thank you for being tonight. Thank you for being tonight. Thank you for being tonight. Thank you for being here tonight for the Frenzy, for this matchup. We'll be back at it tomorrow, as the plan right now is to do the Fallen versus Ex Oblivione. Definitely going to be a lot of fun with that one. But everybody, please take care. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow for some more Face of League action. Take care, y'all.